In the shadows of history, there are voices that never fade, voices that still command attention centuries after they were first spoken. Among them stands Niccolò Machiavelli, the Florentine thinker whose very name became synonymous with power, cunning, and the ruthless pursuit of strength. He was not merely a writer or a diplomat. He was a man who studied the machinery of human ambition, the hidden gears of politics, and the brutal truth of survival in a world that shows no mercy to the weak. This video carries a promise, and also a warning. It can make you inhumanly strong, but perhaps at the cost of no longer being human. Machiavelli did not believe in fairy tales of morality. He believed in what works. He believed that behind every throne, every empire, and every victory, there lies a set of principles that strip away illusions and reveal reality as it is. His teachings force us to confront a terrifying question. If you could gain unshakable strength, indomitable resilience, and almost supernatural control over your destiny, would you be willing to give up your innocence, your comfort, and maybe even your humanity? Strength, according to Machiavelli, does not come from chance. It does not come from luck or divine blessing. It comes from clarity of vision, from the ability to see human beings not as we wish them to be, but as they truly are. And once you see that truth, you can never look away. That is why this journey is dangerous. If you listen until the end, you may never see yourself or others the same way again. So let us step into Machiavelli's world, where strength is earned in blood and shadows, where weakness is punished, and where the most powerful are those who learn to master not only others, but themselves. Part 1. The first law of strength: accepting reality without illusion. Machiavelli begins with a principle that is as brutal as it is liberating. The world does not care about your intentions, only about your results. Many of us are raised with ideals: be honest, be kind, be fair. And while these values can guide our private lives, Machiavelli insists that in the arena of power, these illusions are weapons that others will turn against you. If you wish to become inhumanly strong, you must strip away the comforting lies that most people live under. You must see humanity as it is: greedy, ambitious, fearful, and often disloyal. People will love you when it costs them nothing, but they will betray you the moment their interests demand it. They will praise you when you are strong, but they will abandon you when you are weak. To deny this truth is to remain fragile. To embrace it is to gain the first spark of true strength. Think of how most people respond to hardship. They hope for luck. They pray for miracles. They wait for someone to save them. But Machiavelli teaches that waiting is weakness. Strength is the acceptance that no savior is coming. You are alone in the battlefield of life, and if you want to win, you must rely not on hope but on strategy. This shift in mindset is the beginning of becoming inhumanly strong. Why inhuman? Because most humans cling to illusions. They want to believe in the goodness of others, in the fairness of life. To tear those illusions away feels unnatural, even cruel. Yet it is precisely this clarity, the willingness to stare at reality without flinching, that Machiavelli offers as the foundation of power. When you stop expecting life to be fair, you stop being crushed by its unfairness. When you stop expecting loyalty from everyone, you stop being surprised by betrayal. And when you stop seeking pity, you free yourself to act with calculated precision. This is not about becoming heartless. It is about becoming untouchable. Part 2. The armor of fear and respect. Once you see the world as it is, Machiavelli pushes you further. He asks, do you want to be loved, or do you want to be feared? Every leader, every person who rises above the crowd faces this question. Most of us deep inside want to be loved. We want approval, validation, admiration. But Machiavelli warns, love is fragile, conditional, and fleeting. People love you today, and tomorrow they forget you, or worse, turn against you. But fear lasts. Fear compels obedience. Fear builds a fortress that admiration alone can never maintain. To be clear, Machiavelli does not say you should be cruel for cruelty's sake. A ruler or any person of strength should avoid being hated, because hatred breeds rebellion. But being feared, combined with respect, creates a shield of power that love alone cannot match. This is the armor of strength, the ability to command, to set boundaries, to demand respect not through begging for affection, but through undeniable authority. Think about this in your own life. How often have you silenced yourself to avoid offending others? How often have you chosen to be agreeable rather than truthful, because you feared losing approval? That, Machiavelli would say, is weakness. To grow beyond it, you must stop depending on being liked. You must cultivate the kind of presence that makes others think twice before crossing you. Strength in this sense is not about physical dominance. It is about psychological command. When you walk into a room, do people notice? Do they listen when you speak? Do they hesitate before disrespecting you? That is the aura Machiavelli describes, the aura of fear mixed with respect, which transforms a person from ordinary to formidable. But here lies the danger. To become this strong is to cross a threshold. You risk becoming someone others obey but do not love. You may gain power but lose warmth. You may gain respect but lose intimacy. This is the price Machiavelli forces us to consider. Is the strength worth the sacrifice? Part 3. The calculated mask. Appear virtuous, act strategic. One of Machiavelli's most powerful lessons lies in the art of deception. Not deception for pleasure, but deception as survival. He famously declared that while it is ideal to be virtuous, it is more essential to appear virtuous. Why? Because people are not capable of seeing your intentions. They only judge what you show them. Think about it. Most people never look deeper than the surface. They believe what is presented to them with confidence. If you look honest, they assume you are honest. If you look generous, they believe you are generous. This is the mask of power, not being, but seeming. Machiavelli's advice is simple but disturbing. Always appear merciful, faithful, humane, sincere, and religious. But do not be bound by these virtues when they become chains. The strength of this lesson lies in its cold practicality. If you cling stubbornly to rigid virtue, others will exploit it. They will call on your kindness to disarm you, use your honesty to expose you, or twist your mercy into weakness. But if you wear the mask of virtue while keeping your true strategy hidden, you remain untouchable. Imagine two kinds of people. One says, I must always be honest, no matter the cost. Another says, I will appear honest, but when honesty endangers me, I will choose silence or strategy. The first will be destroyed by his own purity. The second will live to fight another day. Which one is truly strong? This is why Machiavelli is called ruthless. He is not telling you to abandon morality in private life. He is saying that in the world of power, image is a weapon. A strong man controls how others see him. He crafts his reputation carefully, knowing that perception is stronger than truth. And when others act recklessly, believing in appearances, he uses that blindness to his advantage. But again, the danger is clear. Once you learn to wear the mask, you may forget who you truly are beneath it. If you live too long behind an image, you risk becoming hollow. Strength without self-awareness can harden into something no longer human. Part 4. The weapon of fortune and virtue. Machiavelli introduces two forces that rule human destiny: fortune and virtue. Fortune is chance, luck, the chaos of the universe. Virtue, however, is not virtue in the moral sense, but the strength of character, will, and skill that bends fortune to one's advantage. Most people worship fortune. They pray for opportunities, hope for the right moment, and blame fate when things go wrong. But Machiavelli tells us fortune favors only the bold. Imagine fortune as a wild river, sometimes calm, sometimes raging, always unpredictable. You cannot control the river, but you can build dams, redirect streams, and prepare for the flood. That preparation is virtue. To be inhumanly strong means refusing to be a victim of luck. It means training yourself to act decisively, to seize opportunities before they vanish, and to remain unbroken when chaos strikes. Fortune may deal you a cruel hand, but virtue allows you to play that hand like a master. Think of the great leaders Machiavelli admired, men who faced impossible odds, but carved empires from them. They did not wait for luck. They created luck. They imposed their will upon the world. That, to Machiavelli, is true strength. But here lies the paradox. To cultivate virtue requires discipline, awareness, and an iron will. It demands sacrifices of comfort, of safety, of sometimes even morality. You may gain mastery over fortune, but you will also gain scars. The inhuman strength you develop comes from a refusal to bow to chaos. But it may also strip away your softness, your spontaneity, your ability to simply be. Ask yourself, would you rather drift helplessly on the river of chance, or become the architect who dares to redirect its flow? Machiavelli would argue that only the second path leads to greatness, even if it makes you less human. Part 5. The necessity of the lion and the fox. Perhaps the most iconic metaphor Machiavelli gave us is the dual nature of strength. The ruler, or any powerful person, must learn to be both a lion and a fox. Why a lion? Because the lion represents brute strength, courage, and the ability to inspire fear. No one dares to challenge a lion openly. Its presence alone establishes dominance. Why a fox? Because the fox represents cunning, strategy, and the ability to detect traps. A fox may not overpower, but it outsmarts. If you are only a lion, your enemies will build snares around you. They will trick you, manipulate you, and outwit you. If you are only a fox, people may not fear you enough to obey. But when you master both, when you combine the ferocity of the lion with the cleverness of the fox, you become untouchable. You can crush opposition with force when needed, and outmaneuver danger with subtlety when force would fail. Consider your own life. How many times have you relied on strength alone, working harder, pushing further, confronting directly, only to be blindsided by betrayal or manipulation? That is the danger of being only a lion. And how many times have you relied only on cunning, avoiding confrontation, playing clever games only to realize that people did not respect you? That is the danger of being only a fox. Machiavelli's wisdom is that power requires balance. To become inhumanly strong, you must train both sides of yourself. Develop the fearlessness of the lion, the willingness to act decisively, to roar when necessary, to show that you cannot be intimidated, but also sharpen the intelligence of the fox, the ability to read hidden motives, to anticipate traps, to manipulate appearances without being caught. This duality may seem unnatural. Human beings like simplicity. We want to be one thing, consistent and pure. But Machiavelli warns that purity is weakness. If you limit yourself to one role, others will exploit it. The inhuman strength comes from adaptability, from the ability to shift masks and strategies depending on the moment. Yet again, there is a price. To constantly adapt, to constantly calculate, may erode authenticity. You may become someone who no longer acts from instinct but only from strategy. You may gain power but lose your soul. This is the razor's edge Machiavelli leads us across the path where strength and humanity are always at war. Part 6. The discipline of cruelty and mercy. Few teachings of Machiavelli are as unsettling as his views on cruelty and mercy. He argued that sometimes cruelty, when used swiftly and decisively, can be more humane than endless leniency. To most people, this sounds monstrous, but Machiavelli's point was not to glorify brutality. It was to recognize its strategic necessity. Consider a ruler or even a leader in any walk of life who tolerates disorder out of kindness. He avoids punishing those who betray, he forgives too quickly, and he hesitates to make hard decisions. The result? Disorder spreads, betrayal grows, and the suffering of many becomes greater than the suffering of a few. Machiavelli insists that cruelty, when applied at the right moment, can restore order and prevent greater pain in the long run. This principle of decisive harshness is not just about politics. It applies to our personal lives. Sometimes strength requires cutting ties with toxic people, delivering uncomfortable truths, or enforcing discipline with an iron hand. Mercy, when uncontrolled, can keep you enslaved. Cruelty, when calculated, can liberate you from decay. But here lies the transformation. To embrace this lesson is to step into territory that feels inhuman. Most people hesitate at the thought of deliberate cruelty, even if it prevents chaos. To wield it wisely demands steel nerves, clarity, and the ability to silence the part of you that cries for comfort. This is why Machiavelli's strength feels superhuman. It pushes us beyond ordinary softness, into a realm where mercy is a tool, not a reflex. To become inhumanly strong, you must learn the balance. Too much cruelty and you become hated. Too much mercy and you become weak. The true master knows when to strike and when to forgive, and never confuses one for the other. Part 7. The legacy of power and the fear of becoming less than human. Machiavelli did not write merely for his own time. He wrote for every generation that would face the eternal struggle between weakness and strength, and his warning echoes into our age. Power is fragile, life is war, and only those who prepare themselves with ruthless clarity can endure. But there is a haunting shadow to his message. If you follow Machiavelli to the very end, if you strip away illusions, wear masks, wield fear, balance lion and fox, and even use cruelty strategically, what remains of your humanity? Do you become a figure of awe, a fortress no one dares challenge? Or do you become a hollow shell, admired but unloved, powerful but isolated? This is the paradox Machiavelli leaves us with. Strength so great that it elevates you above ordinary men, yet so cold that it may separate you from them forever. To be inhumanly strong is to walk a razor's edge between greatness and emptiness. And yet, Machiavelli would argue, that is the price of destiny. Weakness is easy. Humanity in its softest form is comfortable. But greatness, true greatness, demands sacrifice. To seize it, you must decide how much of yourself you are willing to surrender. So ask yourself this: would you rather live safely, loved and forgotten, or risk everything to carve a name that lasts centuries? Machiavelli would not answer for you. He would simply show you the path and remind you that the choice is yours, and once you choose, there is no turning back. Ending. The Machiavellian Challenge. We have traveled through the teachings of Machiavelli, the stripping away of illusions, the armor of fear and respect, the mask of virtue, the force of virtue against fortune, the dual nature of lion and fox, the discipline of cruelty and mercy, and finally the haunting legacy of power. Each step brings us closer to a strength that is greater than human, and further from the innocence that most call human. Now the question remains, will you take these lessons and bury them, fearing their weight? Or will you dare to live them, to carve your own path with the steel of Machiavelli's wisdom in your hands? Remember this: the world will not reward your purity, nor will it honor your weakness, but it will bow sooner or later to strength. And strength belongs not to those who wait, not to those who hope, but to those who see the world clearly and act without hesitation. This video is not just a teaching, it is a mirror. Perhaps it has already begun to change the way you see yourself, your friends, your enemies, and the world around you. Perhaps you feel the pull of that inhuman strength already. But be warned, once you cross that threshold, you can never go back to who you were before. Machiavelli's voice echoes through time. It is better to be feared than loved. If you cannot be both, the choice lies before you. Will you cling to the comforts of ordinary humanity, or will you step forward into the dangerous, unyielding, and immortal strength that few dare to claim?